manuscript, you're staring back at me. A sea of words, but none set free. I've poured my soul, I've carved the lines, but every page, it's like we're trapped in time.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the live stream, the live place, the place to be. My name's Ikello Herod, and this right here, right in front of you, is the Future Fiction Academy. And welcome to class. We today are going to be showing you how you can enhance your existence as a nonfiction writer with the addition of artificial intelligence. And not only are we going to do this today with a expert, but a really nice guy. He's a really nice guy. Every time we've had discussions, he's just had the like nuggety insights that just surprise you. I mean, makes me just stop and go, what? What did you just say? Not only that, but he also runs an amazing conference that is coming up very soon. It's called Author MBA. And you will really, really, really learn some stuff at this conference, which happens to be in New Orleans, y'all. I'm telling you, it's one of those places that I love going back to. And why not learn about amazing things in the world of publishing and self-publishing at the Author MBA. Brought to you by the man, the myth, the legend himself. He is quite the gentleman. We're going to call him Russ, but most people call him Russell Nohelty. How you doing, Russell?
Hi, how are you doing? It's great to be back. Thanks for having me.
I am so happy that you are back. I tell you what, these experiences that we have in the virtual realm, so to speak. Wow, why is that doing that? I'm having a issue with let's see this. Let's just do this. All right, there we go. Forget about I had this this thing set up on my computer and we're like this little itty bitty thing, and I'm like, oh, I can't stand this. I can't stand this. And so I just put us full screen. All right, so today let's just give viewers a rundown of who you are and where you came from, my man. Just give me a little, that blurb thing that you put in the in all of the things when you have speaking engagements and stuff.
Sure. So my name is Russell Nohelty. I'm USA Today best-selling author. I wrote all of the books back here. In fact, all of the books back here are part of one universe called The Cosmic Weave. I also have written 16 nonfiction books, or co-written 16 nonfiction books, which are now being used to prop up my keyboard. And I own a conference. I own an archetyping system called Author Ecosystem. I have a publication with close to 50,000 subscribers called the Author Stack. So I do a lot of authory stuff. I think the reason people like my work in the nonfiction space is because, like, most of my career has been in fiction. And so I have written, this is only a selection of my books. I've actually written over 40 novels and comics and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, it's I've been using AI on the nonfiction side for a while. I actually am currently using it. I just finished drafting a 200,000 word book called Quest Girls with it. So I'm excited. I'm falling deeper into the rabbit hole of AI.
I have to tell you, we're definitely gonna get to the content today, everyone. But I have to tell you, I've been having such an amazing experience right now, Russell, with Claude 3.7. It is the non-thinking one. It is good.
I know that is what I hear a lot of, but you know what just happened today? Like literally in the past hour since I looked at it last, I Russell Nohelty got access to the research model of ChatGPT 4.5. So I'm guessing that like everyone else did too, who is a paying member at least. So it says it says it's for writing and thinking. And so I'm excited about that. I also last week got access to deep research, which I've been using, and whoa, that deep research stuff, like very, very, like I used it 2 of my 10 already. One to put together a list of, I have a book coming out in comic book shops next month, or I guess in 2 months. And so I used it to generate a list of all the indie friendly comic shops and bookstores in America. I can't say that it's perfect, but like it's at least a good starting place. I sent it to my assistant. I used it previously. What did I do? I did some other deep research thing that I need access with. So like I'm very impressed with like the deep research part of it. I'm excited to try the problem with like ChatGPT is it's not very good at writing fiction. It's not very good at, it's not very its prose is not great, but I do have a GPT that I trained on all of my previous books, which makes like serviceable, but I definitely like Claude more for fiction. So I'm excited to try and see like what I can do with 4.5 now.
Yeah, it's sorry. Oh yeah, 4.5. Yeah. But okay. So you've had challenges, right? When you've had to like build things with AI in the nonfiction world. This is just like a real thing. It's not like it's like Photoshop when back in the day when we were first starting to use it and everyone would over process. And the skin would be too smooth, necks would be too long, those sorts of things. And so AI feels when you're trying to craft things, sometimes it feels to me like it's like you're like you have to like really take the scalpel out and cut away the things that you really can't stand. What has been your experience?
Well, I will say that I have my own. I have like 4 different Chat GPT, 4 different GPTs. One is for my fiction. One is for nonfiction. One is for writing articles, and one is for writing social media posts.
Mm-hmm.
And so between those 4 and the fiction one is trained on over 40 novels, the nonfiction one on like all of my books. So they tend to be okay. But they love using the same like 7 phrases over and over, like, here's the truth. And that's just like literally sometimes every paragraph that they write will have a big old truth bomb in it that I have to. So I found like a group of things to like cut away. They like to invert how sentences work into passive voice. I don't know why it likes passive voice so much. So like I find myself having to switch sentences around. So they read more active. But I mean, I wrote the current book that I'm launching mostly with ChatGPT. I mean, last summer, my business partner and I did a series of live lectures, and from that, like, it was kind of too chaotic to expect people to like get a ton out of it unless they were in that room. So I fed all of it into ChatGPT and had to develop. I gave it to the O1 model and had it reason through all of the like how to take. I took the things and made transcripts of them, and then the transcripts I fed into ChatGPT. And I mean, I think that it worked really well. It's just like, okay, so I heard this thing recently that was ChatGPT can get you 70% of the way there, but it's the first 70%. So like if you're not skilled enough to do the final 30%, it's going to be really hard for you, because it like will move things around. It will like repeat things. It will forget what it's doing. And you would then have to come back and tell it what to do. Like it only likes writing 700. It can write a pretty good 500 to 700 word section, but like if you ask it to do more than that, it's a little bit better now, but not much. So you have to go in and say, enhance this section, like take this list, make it narrative, or so all of these things to make it feel like you. My business partner likes to say that like her GPT sounds like me and mine sounds like her and mine sounds like me. And it's because like how we optimize it. Like she likes a lot of lists, a lot of check marks, a lot of that stuff. And I like more narrative. So, yeah, I don't know if that answered any of your questions, but like there's nothing like, but here's the thing is like, I also have a lot of assistants, and I like, and I have I have a lot of contractors.
Yeah.
And like when you're working with the contractor, like, unless like a lot of times you have to do the final work, or you have to do the check, or you have to redirect them. And so I don't really find this much
particularly unusual.
Yeah, what I think about it is like ChatGPT is a very new novice copywriter, and I'm working with it to like develop a book. And so like it can do a lot of the work, but it can't do most of the work. Like you can't have someone out of college like write a book for you and just like expect it to like
sound like
good.
You.
Right.
And
like
be good. Yeah.
Right. Like you could expect me to do that for you because I've been doing it for 20 years and like I charge way more. And like, so, you know, I'm just way better than someone right out of college, not because like I have the experience and the nuance to be able to stop problems before they come in. So I can also do it quicker. But like, you know, ChatGPT doesn't actually reason, which we like to, like, everyone likes to be like, oh, it's reasoning. And it's like, no, it's like creating recursive loops that like
that inspect themselves in order to, and then do an evaluation. That is not necessarily like real thinking. Yeah.
Right. And like, it's not, yes, it's like trying to catch itself, but like reasoning sounds better. It sounds more like artificial and like generalized intelligence, but it's not. It's like when you work, if you do not have the reasoning, and even if you do have the reasoning, it's like, are you sure about that? Like that's not right. Like when I write not fiction, I'm always like, that is not what the lore book says. So I have to send it back to the lore book, and then like it wants to like just skim over it and not do this. So anyway, it's like all of the things I would expect an intern to do, it does. Like, yeah, sure, it can provide like the basic bare bones of a draft or a chapter or a section, but like you then have to, it takes double or triple that amount of time to like make something usable. That said, I wouldn't actually be writing books if I wasn't doing this, because I have long COVID and I just cannot keep all of this in my head or do things for a sustained amount of time before I have to like take breaks. So like, it's just like these things that like I have an assistant for also. Like my assistant goes in and does a bunch of stuff I just won't do. And so does ChatGPT. Or whatever, that I use like multiple models, but it's mostly ChatGPT now that I have the custom GPT set up and rocking.
So the gist of what I'm getting from you is that you've had like a life change. And this particular technology has become an accessibility tool in a way that you would have never imagined needing an accessibility tool before. But nevertheless, it's true. And so you've had to figure out a way to adapt. You've had to figure out workflows, ideas for how to approach this, all of this stuff. These are all things, ladies and gentlemen, that you will find inside of Russell's course on using artificial intelligence with nonfiction writing. Now, think about this, y'all. You can go over to the Future Fiction Academy right now. Click down on the button down, the link in the description. And this is literally one of the most affordable classes that we have. And it's because it is a necessity. It is hopefully a basic tool that you will find as a foundation to create many, 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 hopefully great nonfiction books in the future. Go over to the Future Fiction Academy, and I actually have a banner somewhere, but I don't want to flow. I don't want to mess up the flow right now because my man is like flap, 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 and then the jazz is going. And so I don't want to mess up the flow, but I want you to go on down to the Future Fiction Academy and check out all of our standalone classes, including the one authored by Mr. Russell Nohelty himself. It's called actually, what is it called exactly?
It's the only one on nonfiction, I think.
Yeah, it is. I'm like, I keep saying like, I'm saying around the name. It is writing with using AI to write with the nonfiction. So that is the course that you are going to look for. Those are the keywords you are looking for with your not so artificial intelligence. Okay. All right, Russell. We've talked about your past. We've talked about how you've used future technology. Let's talk about the now. Actually, the week and a half from now. What you doing a week and a half from now, my man?
I can't believe it, man. Like this conference called Writer MBA that we're doing is a whole week in New Orleans. It seems like people are excited. Like the FOMO is catching up to people. Like
so
they're messaging me and they're emailing me about like how excited they are. So like I'm very happy. I'm very happy also because like y'all are doing a entire training for free for people who are coming to the conference to show them how to create basically a novella using plot drive to enhance it with their, and it's I think it's like 5-hour thing that you guys are doing on the Wednesday of the show. Like, and it's be completely free for people who are coming to the conference. And it's just like, I'm kind of blown away that like by the end of this 4 or 5 hours you spend, like you're going to have a novella. Like you're going to like have like your guys are going to draft it and show people how to do it right
in front of everyone.
Yeah.
I was alarmed when she said that she was going to do this. Absolutely alarmed. But you know what? If we do not lead by example, if we do not show people these systems, do not show people what is possible, and make them understand that when we say that this is the worst that things will ever be in this realm of artificial intelligence, and how these tools can enhance your creativity and your life, and whatever endeavor you do, that you need to use your mind. As soon as you figure out that this is something that is not unsurmountable, the floodgates will open up. And I get what she's doing. And just in case y'all are wondering, that is the royal she herself, Elizabeth Ann West. She will be there along with Steph Bajonas and Stacy. and Stacy and all of every single one of those ladies are a encyclopedia on how to write literally anything with artificial intelligence. So I am so excited that everyone at the at Writer MBA is going to be able to sit down and watch this happen. If they had seen it at I've seen her presentation at other conferences. And she's not even doing the crazy thing that she did at this conference back in November. She is going to literally show every single body there how to ideate from ideation all the way to, I mean, I don't know if she could publish. I don't think she could publish it in 5 hours. But knowing Elizabeth, if she heard me say that, she'd probably be like, "Oh, yes, I could."
That's true.
Anyway, Writer MBA, everyone. Actually, is there any more? Can people still get tickets?
Yeah, people can come. People can still sign up, I believe, through Friday. We're selling tickets, and I think they're going to be available at the door too. But I think we're locking off registration online on Friday. And here's the thing: is there's not a lot of very positive pro AI conferences that exist that you can find not just events that are AI, but we are doing not just a talk that's AI, but we are integrating a lot of this stuff into how we do. And Monica and I both openly talk about using AI. Very few people in this industry outside of Future Fiction Academy people will say, I drafted a book this week on when I leave here, I'm going to go pull back up ChatGPT and I'm going to go back into the new fiction world that I'm creating with based on World War I, geopolitical things, but in hell. I'm doing all of this stuff with AI.
Russell, that's funky. Oh, Russell. I mean, all right. So sometimes, y'all, when I'm talking to Russell, all right, let's just be real. If you ever have that friend, this is an LA thing, you ever have that friend in LA who just happens to drop a name about somebody, blah, blah, blah. Well, Russell is that name you would drop. You'd be like, so yeah, I was talking to Russell Nohelty. About this thing, because you always, I mean, God bless. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying, I used it there this morning. I used it to help. One of the best parts about nonfiction, to get back to the topic at hand, is that once you write something one time in fiction, in the most part, people don't ask you to iterate on that thing. But in nonfiction, you are constantly asked to be how do I use this to do Y thing? How do I use this to do Z thing? What about this, but for this kind of person? Does this work for this thing? And they ask you, these use cases get so
specific,
minutia and specific. And so one of the best uses of AI that I have one set up that's trained on all of my books. And it's make this work for this kind of person. Author ecosystem is our archetyping system, and people ask us how would I use this as an artist, or how would I use this as in a business? And I'm just sure. Instead of writing a 2,000 word piece, I can just be hey, go and make this use case, and you can take things take this chapter and write it from the perspective of someone who's in this case, or take these examples and turn them into romance examples, or those are all the things that you can do that you are never asked to do in fiction.
Right. Yeah. Because you're a fiction writer, and it really does give you the ability to almost write in any genre, and then nonfiction on top of that. It really does. Now that I'm thinking about it, it actually really gives you that. So I get it. Yeah.
Well, on top of that, let's say all of the writers who are here right now are going to be asked questions about friends of theirs that they just don't want to write. the answer to, because like you want to write books, or like you don't want to like help your friend make a to-do book on like 13th century English yachts. But like you could just like ask an AI to like do that thing and then check and be like, sure, that's a pretty good place to start. Cause like people will not type the exact same thing you will in AI. I'm assuming the people that are here are pretty like self-motivated, but
Right.
like, you know, they don't even want to have a conversation, which they don't understand. Like you can how conversational it can be and how like in the weeds it can get with just your specific use case.
Yeah.
So like instead of your father-in-law asking you like how about like how to make a book about their boat fetish of like boats in a bottle, you can just be like, sure dad, like I'm gonna go here's the thing, and I do this like not to my father because RIP, but but like every once in a while people will be like, I really love this system, how do I, and but like I wish it worked for X, and I'm like, well, sure, I can, here it's a book. And like a lot of the author ecosystem stuff now, especially because it's an archetyping system, so like it the scaffolding exists in like this program,
Right.
and I just need to be like, take the scaffolding that exists and present this use case, present this like how would I use this in writing instead of in like Kickstarter, or like how would I use it on this platform? And because AI already knows a ton about all of the platforms and a ton about author ecosystems, like it can smash together things that and it can smash things together in a way that no one else can, because like I also have not just the author ecosystem book that we did, but every other book that I've ever done in this thing. So it can like pull together all of the threads in one piece. And we have a book on direct sale, 2 books on direct sales, a book on Kickstarter, a book on Substack, some base books on like building a creative career, successful career, like I've co-written, as I said, 16 books with Monica. So like all of that stuff is there's great use cases in fiction, because like I also have one that's trained on all of our story Bibles for like this, and so like it's way more effective in nonfiction because it doesn't have to be narratively consistent. And where AI has the biggest problem is in narrative consistency across sessions. And like it doesn't really have to be narratively consistent. It just has to be self-contained inside of itself. And it's actually pretty good at maintaining structural consistency and just like overall consistency within a piece. It can't do it over multiple days, God forbid you even try it over like 2 sessions in one day. But like as long as you can keep it sustained to that session, you still have to edit it quite extensively often. But like you can, it gives you a draft that you don't have to then go back and say like, actually that didn't happen and that didn't happen, and you know what I mean? So
yeah, I do.
Like,
are you using Canvas a lot?
No, not right now. I mainly do texty stuff, but I am interested. Once I have a good use case for it, I am excited to use it.
Yeah, I did a video, I think a couple of months ago on it, and we found some pretty, glaring sort of for a writer's shortcomings. So if you're a casual writer, you don't care about the writing, like care, right? There is a in the Canvas, it's very easy to just have stuff wiped away and new stuff just gets put in there and you just go with the flow sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
As I went through it and I worked with it, I realized that this definitely feels like they were building this for coders, not for writers, right? And so there's a disadvantage in my book for it to go and just wipe everything and just rewrite in a line when you decide you want to make sweeping changes. Maybe you want to keep most of that stuff there, that sort of thing. So when you use it, I want you to be warned that it will have a tendency, because you can go in there and do all of your changing you want because it's Canvas. That's the cool thing about it. But when it goes to start doing editing and stuff, you gotta watch that sucker.
I have used it then, because like there's a specific Canvas like that you can do pluses, kind of like but like I hate when it goes into its own document. Actually, I tell it only edit in the chat. If you type in the chat, do this, then it will like give you the only time I like the Canvas, the document, is if I have done editing, I can go in and change the thing, and then I can say, starting from where I was at, continue on the chat. I think it's pretty good on that. But in general, I yell at it all the time because it will just it will like change the wrong documents. And so like I now in the chat has been like and often I'll say in the chat, I really mean in the chat, not in the other document. And yeah, I think that it's weird that you then have to like transfer it over, but like I found that the best way that
is there a copy? I can't remember whether there's a copy button at the bottom of the Canvas. I think there is.
Yes.
But then, yeah, because it lives as a little, like in Claude, it lives as a little artifact over in the,
Yeah, well, but on top of that, when you use the Canvas, like it will, and you're like, edit these parts, it will just like not do anything and then it will say, I edited it all. And I'm like, you literally didn't make not one change on this thing. So like I have issues with that.
Yeah. Just a fair warning. It was a fair warning because it feels like it should be cool. It ain't cool. It is not cool.
No,
and with
I
that,
do like that you can edit, but
you do like that you can edit.
I like that you can like edit in the document and then say like, and then like have it, but it's such a small, it's like 5% cool and 95% a pain. So I do not recommend it.
5% cool. That's the truth though. I mean, it's like, what's the phrase? Diminishing returns. It feels like as you do it, you start to feel less benefited by it as you do it.
It's interesting because I like it better in Claude because I just think Claude's a better writer. Not because it's better. Like I think the tech is more interesting in ChatGPT, but like it can't write like to save its life, and so like it can write pretty okay nonfiction. But
all right, so here's something that I found that was very interesting that I just happened. I was having issues with Claude 3.7 because I do believe that people are starting to come around to the fact that they need to hammer that API. And not the thinking one, the regular one. They're coming around to, oh my gosh, it actually writes better. I'm like, yeah, it does write better. But the problem with that is it keeps failing out on my API because too many GPUs are going on in the background because everybody's using it. So I had to use 4.0 to finish a chapter that had been started by Claude. That's a very interesting thing to do.
It is.
It looks at the dialogue, at the way everything was, and then it starts making very weird paragraphs and all that stuff that Claude does. All those cool. This is how people write. This isn't how people don't write with perfect little blocky paragraphs that go down.
They're all the exact same paragraphs in a section. It's annoying. It does do a lot better if you have 50 novels to train it on. Like if you have a bunch of work to train it on. The problem with Claude is that the document information that you can store in a document is determined by not the number of documents, but the size of those documents. So you can't, like, if you have 100,000 word book, you have gone past the project, whereas like it is, as far as I can tell, 10 unlimited size documents, because I have one document in ChatGPT in my Cosmic Weave that is 12 novels long, and it's fine. I have another one that's 12 novels long, and it's fine. Like, I have lore books. You couldn't fit one. Literally, I had to move from Claude to ChatGPT in the middle of the book because like I outlived the context window or the project.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
So it wouldn't remember everything
yes. And I'm
because
like, well, I need you to remember this whole book. Like, I don't need you to like go back to 20 other books, although it is very nice to do that. But like, I would love if I would go back to Claude in a heartbeat if it had like an unlimited project window, or it just had a lot, or it judged things by the number of documents instead of the length of those documents. Because like it kind of is a huge benefit to now be able to say, we have written a 200,000 word book. We have 40 other novels. Like, we have all of this context of like the underworld and the fairy realm and all of this stuff from previous iterations of this universe. Like, bring all of that together and like, we're going to make this thing now. And
have you found, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No.
Have you found any moments in your book, not in your novels, where you like had a long thing and you were writing and you're prolific and you're writing, and you forget about a little thing that you thought maybe you would use in a later book and it never came up again? Do you ever have like either your fans or the AI say to you, well, you never dealt with that little elf in the such and such and such?
I actually will do that after every like sequence, or like maybe every 20, or like I will say, what are the open plot threads? And like, what have we not dealt with yet? And so like, yes, that used to happen. Actually, my books would just not be very complicated because like
you didn't want to do. Yeah.
Like, look, the issue with writing is you can only write as smart as you are. And like, the best thing about ChatGPT is like, it can write in ways you don't think, and it can like write yourself. It can write yourself into and out of situations you never would think of, because not you specifically,
no,
Russell
I
specifically, like you just aren't smart enough to like think like that, or like you do not have the context, or you can't remember like 27 books ago you like wrote this thing over
that
here
could have gotten
that,
you
like,
out of the mess. Could have gotten
right.
you out of the mess, but you cannot remember that thing to save your life, and it's sitting back in your archives. You can now call up that you're like, there is something about this that I remember writing something about. It wasn't, what is this? And then it almost pulls it up like an encyclopedia, Wikipedia entry, and says, well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, one of the other things is, when you've written as many books as me, like, you like fall back into your old habits. Like, look, if you read, I've now written 2 12-book series. Most of them deal with a combination of fairies, fairy realm, and underworld. That is consistent across my 2 massive series. And so this book, I tried to get away from those things, and it pulled me right back into the stuff. Well, what happens when you've written 24 books about the underworld and fairy realm? It's like you start sounding like you sounded before. You're like, oh, I don't know the way out of this situation. That's not the situation. So you can like make it create fresh things. Like, you can, one of the reasons why so many writers end up co-writing at the middle end of their career is because like it infuses fresh information into your like they think differently than you do. So like, but for years, like maybe a year and a half, I've been like, it's like, this is the same book, and it can do things. So one of the things I'm doing in this book is you'll be going along thinking that the bad guy is the bad guy, and then there'll be a chapter that summarizes like all of the stuff that led up to this guy's thinking, like all of these, and it'll be like 10 scenes in like one chapter. And like, I've never done that before, but I can do it now because I find it so interesting because like basically at the moment when the two heroines meet, like who they think is the bad guy, right before that moment, you get this, or right after that moment, you get this like summary of like, oh, you thought this person was like doing this for this reason, but in reality, like they actually are on your side, and here is why they're on your side.
And there's another entity that you probably need to get this person on your side to get to, so that they can help in saving the whole realm from the crap that's happening.
Right. And with the nonfiction, it's like similar because you like, okay, so I have this book that I'm releasing now called the How to Write Irresistible Books That Readers Devour. That's on Kickstarter right now. And it's really interesting because like I never wrote a craft book, and I never wrote a craft book because like I didn't know what I thought. But like in going through this course with Monica, I was able to think about what I thought and be like, oh, this is what I think about ideas. This is what I think about characters. Like, this is the whole thing, like all like it's like a complete thought now. But then like, I'm not going to write that book. Like, I'm not going to then I thought those thoughts. And now I have to like go back and like write those thoughts down. I don't want to do that. But like to be able to feed a transcript in and have it put out an outline and then a book that is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like it's thinking in a way that I don't think when I write, but I do think when I talk. Like I'm much better talking about craft than I am writing about craft because I get in my own head that I'm not Stephen King and who's going to listen to my book about those things. But like you can now like pull all of that information, or you write a really cool, you've done a ton of research about like World War I, like, and you wrote a World War I book and you're like, man, now it's kind of, I've written about World War I. So like, what am I going to do? But like, you can now use that research to like write a book about World War I that like in different ways. Like you can write the person who was in your book's journal from like the point of view of like what it's like to be like a soldier in World War I and be fighting these, and like it will be relatively accurate to the time because you can say what happened in Verdun in 2018 on June 14th, and you're like, this is exactly what like happened. And like, this is what happened to my character. Now I'm like smash these two things together and like make me a journal entry from this character's point of view, assuming that he was there on that day. And like, is that nonfiction or is that fiction? Well, like, it's clearly like creative nonfiction at the best case scenario, but it's also like, I've never seen a book written by like a person who was in World War I, like as they're like, that is historically accurate to every day, because it would be insane to like make that happen. But like, is it insane if you've now we're in a world where you're like, and as you go forward into your career, if you're listening, like the more books you have, the less it becomes about writing another book into your canon. And it's like, how do I take all of this stuff that like people buy and like use it in new ways and find new ways, like reskin these like things that I've done. And a lot of people I tell will like, especially like a lot of historical romance, just historical fiction people, travel writer, like people that write like travel cozy mystery, like they have reams of information on like some topic, and like they know that there are people like Europe and will want and like their writing, and if they could just like write a travel guide to Europe, like they could make money on it. And it's like, well, you probably aren't going to spend 6 months writing a travel book to Europe, but like maybe you will spend a week like taking all of your notes and making it compelling. Maybe you write a different character's journey, like more, but maybe you write like your own, like, I don't know what it is, but like we tend to think that like either you're a fiction writer or a nonfiction writer. And like, the truth is like you are expending a lot of effort in your career that goes unutilized and unleveraged, because like, just as a writer, you have to learn a lot, and then you put a lot of that stuff away. And so a beautiful part of like this thing is I can say, oh, I did this talk on virtual summits, or how to do a whatever it is, fine, virtual summits. Like, I now can take that, feed it into my an AI, and like have a transcript that then becomes like an article that I can now like leverage or put into a book or like do X, Y, and Z. And like, these are things that we would never think of as fiction writers, because you don't want to leave a class that you just like spoke for an hour about like character and then come back home and be like, I'm going to write all of the thoughts that I have down. But like, if you could then take a recorder and you just say, have Descript or something, or Loom or whatever or Substack, make a transcript of that thing, download it, and now feed it into a thing and say, hey, outline this article in 10 steps, like what, and then say things like, what am I missing? Okay, this is what I wrote about. Like, and easily the best part about the best single sentence that you can put into your vocabulary with ChatGPT or with any of these AIs is, what am I missing here? If you can just literally, every time you do, when you're doing an outline, when you're writing a chapter, when you're doing a thing, be like, okay, now I just spoke for an hour about character. Like, this is broadly correct. Like, what needs to be strengthened? What am I missing? Like, what strategies do I need to like employ into this article? And now you have like taken a thing, you could send it back to that person. In fact, in my course, I want to talk about the course, obviously, this is what I'm mostly talking about. I literally have the transcript of the course, and I show you how I took that transcript and made an article onto my like that's going to be on the author stack. But like, I took all of the things, I took all of the strategies that have, I mean, Stacy can say, if she's still here, like, it's like a 7,000 word article that takes every section and breaks it down and highlights it and says, do this step, do this step, do this step, do this step. It's just like 20 or so of these strategies that like, I never am going to write that this is how I did this thing. But like, you can literally see, you can take the class and you can follow along with the transcript and the article, and it like goes pretty much in order of like what I did, and I rewrote it slightly, but you don't actually have to rewrite the steps much. Like, it's very good at processing step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. And that stuff doesn't have to be narratively fulfilling. It just has to be accurate. And so like, all you have to do is really do like the intro and the outro, make sure like those are, and so you're doing all this stuff. I recorded this article in like an hour and a half, probably, and then I probably spent an hour recording it. Then I spent like another hour taking that and making a 7,000 word article or 5,000 word article on that. And like, now I've got 2 bites of the apple. Now, when someone asks me my thoughts on AI, I can send them the course, I can send them to an article, I can send them to whatever that thing is, whatever their learning style is. And most importantly for me, I can monetize the thing without having to listen to my voice to figure out what the steps are. I already told you the steps.
Yes. All right. So the things I'm hearing the things I'm hearing is lovingly rework your IP. I'm also hearing that create your own data. I'm also hearing things like be responsible for the thing that actually ends up at the end by taking personal kind of purchase of the information that it's by creating that data. You're taking personal responsibility for exactly which way the AI is going to go and do the things that you want it to do, so that when you decide to pivot or add an extra thing or add another thing, you have the ability to do that because you've already given it really good data.
Right. Well, and you're also not a robot. So, like, if you do a talk or you do something in nonfiction and you've written an article, you can say, what am I missing here? What is this article missing? Like, what are the best practices? You can't, not everything can search the internet, but like ChatGPT can, like 4.5. And you can say, like, what does the data saying now? Like, what am I getting wrong? Like, where am I misleading people unexpectedly because I just have a blind spot? Like, where are my blind spots here? And then it will say, probably because it likes to blow smoke, it'll say, like, this is a really good start, or like, this is great, but like, here are some ways we can improve it. And then at the bottom, it will say, do you want me to incorporate this into your draft? And you're like, yeah, I want you to, or you can say, it'll probably give you like somewhere between 5 and 10 options. And you can be like, actually, I like 1, 2, 7, and 8. I don't really care about the other ones, or like, they feel like redundancies, or like, you actually are on the wrong track here. I don't think you're right. Like, are you sure that this is like where we should be going? Or like, because like what I think is this, and it will go back and forth with you and be like, well, X, and then eventually you will say, oh, I did miss that. I did, like, I there was a big blind spot right here that I like was not servicing. And it's probably going to be the first time that it says what it's missing, but I ask it somewhere between 2 and 3 times. What am I missing here? Incorporate. What are we now missing? What are we still missing? And eventually it will be like really persnickety, and you'll be like, well, this article can't be any longer, like, or like, that's good. It's a good idea, but it's just like going to confuse people. And like all of that stuff happens because, like, even in a course, you do not usually pitch a perfect game. You usually forget something. And like, whether that is like we can just let it go and know that we missed it, or we can say, this information system that has like most of humanity's data, like, has like more information than me, and it's supposed to have more information than you because you are not a computer. Like, so we can use that to our benefit to do things like, where is this structurally weak? Like, where is my argument breakdown? Like, what have I missed here? And maybe you look at the list of things that they missed and be like, actually, I'm okay with missing those things. Or like, like, this paragraph doesn't feel right. Like, let's rework just this paragraph. Or this one section feels bulky, and I've tried to I've tried to rework it like 10 times, but I'm too in my own head. So like, can you please like make this work? And then like, usually if you just see it again, you're going to be like, that's garbage or that's great. And the more in like, when someone asked, like, what do you follow a particular system to create GPTs? And this is my system. I go to ChatGPT and I say, I want to do this. Give me the text to train you to do this thing that I want. And then like, it will do that and be like, then I will like put that into ChatGPT, and then it will do some stuff and be like, what are we missing here? How can I make this better? And between that and uploading, the most important part is the data that you upload. Like, the data that you upload has to be clean data that like is a good representation of what of like it has to be like best practices or like books or like articles that like are unimpeachable that you have written, not like something you wrote and then like the first draft you finished and then you're like, this is probably good enough.
Even if
Because
it's a recording of you being passionate, accurate, but passionate about a specific subject, even if it's a recording, it falls into this same thing called data.
Yes, for the training especially. So like only feed the when you're training the model and ChatGPT specifically, it's like you're able to upload up to 10 documents. And so like make sure those documents are as clean as possible and the best representations of your voice. You can add 5 books to one document, stitch them together, but like that is what it will keep going back to. It will keep searching its knowledge. And if you feed it bad data, especially at the beginning, like it will not do well.
You know, we say we have that's a big thing inside of the FFA about started out good. You know, make sure that it's the chapter is the way you would write it. Make sure you start that sucker out good, because if you don't start by giving it good data, then you're probably screwing yourself.
So my friend said, I was at lunch with her the other day, and she said, when I write emails, I put it in ChatGPT and I'm like, take all the emotion out of this, especially when she gets like annoying emails or like she's like, I take all of the vitriol out of this and just make it like pleasant. And I'm like, well, that is technically nonfiction writing. Like it's not fiction writing. It's like, and like, so no matter if you're just saying like, I need this to craft email that doesn't make me want to sound like I want to murder somebody. Like that isn't use of AI in nonfiction. If you want to write an article, if you want to take somebody's thing and like, can you just rebuff it? Like, can you just like rebut this BS claim that they had? It will be like, sure, here's why this person is wrong. Or like, here's the other side of this. All of that stuff is stuff we don't think is nonfiction writing. But any writing that is not fictional is nonfiction. And so a lot of things live in this murky gray area. I'm not saying they don't, but like everything from your Facebook post in the morning that I have like a AI to write, to your articles that I have an AI to write, to your nonfiction, to your like all of the things. And once you feed it good data, like it starts actually sounding quite a bit like you. And that makes easier the next time that you feed it, that you need to do it. I did not think that having so many of my own GPTs would be so life-changing, but they are.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, his name is Russell Nohelty. We have a lot of courses over at the Future Fiction Academy. One of those courses, which was pointed out by the great Stacy herself, is called Enhancing Nonfiction with AI. So this gentleman put together quite the course for all of you and has made it available for the bargain basement price of $99. And if you go over to the Future Fiction Academy, you will be able to get your hands on this course and a whole bunch of other courses, and some of them are free, and access to Raptorite if you want to. And if you want to, you can even graduate up to Plot Drive. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a very cool gentleman, Ronald Hung, and he has this really cool conference called Writer MBA. And I want you all to Friday, y'all. Friday. If you want to, you can still make a choice to change your publishing career by attending Writer MBA. So do that if you so feel. And remember, it's going to be a lot of AI positivity over there. So it's going to be easy to get along with your fellow man. All right, everyone. My name's Ikel O'Harrod. I am what you would call a fiction engineer. And you know what? I'm going to switch to this right here. There we go. Here we go. I'm a fiction engineer at the Future Fiction Academy. And Russell is a very smart person who you should also name drop. And we have had ourselves quite the wonderful discussion about how you can apply artificial intelligence to so many parts of your life, not just nonfiction, but the course that you need to get is enhancing your writing with AI, your nonfiction writing with AI. And that's it. I hope you've all enjoyed this. Russell, you're the man. And
Thanks for having me, man.
yeah, Russell, this is not going to be last time. You know that. You know that. You know that. I love having you, and I love conversating with you, and I love your beard. All right, everyone. My name's Ikel O'Harrod. This is the Academy, and I will see each and every one of you the next time we have a class. Have a good day. See you when I see you.